Sup and welcome to the Run In Wrestling podcast. Before we get into it, make sure you're checking out all of our socials here on the internet. It's Run In Wrestling everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, where you're listening / watching this, youtube.com. Live from excuse me. Live from the Run In Studios in Kent, I am Ryan Beak, and yes, I am tackling a cold this week. That was a rhyme. Don't finish off the rest of that rhyme. Thank you very much. Matt's not with us again this week. He unfortunately has some other things to be getting on with. However, we do have a special guest on the podcast this week. You'll get to meet him in just a moment. I will be introducing you to him because he seems as though he's going to be someone who could be part of the podcast for quite a while now, and I'm hoping so as well, especially with his specialities in wrestling at the moment. So, without further ado, happy Rusev Day to all of you listening in right now. And as I said, if you are new around here, like us on YouTube, give us a subscribe, share us amongst your friends. It would be great if we could get more subscribers, do more with this channel. If you have any ideas of what you want us to be doing here right on this podcast, or whether you want us to be doing more, e.g., whether you want us to be doing daily reviews, whether you want us to be doing shorter things, longer things, whether you want us to be live streaming anything, whether you want us to be playing games, anything like that. Loads of ideas what we have, but we want to know what you guys want, so let us know. However, this podcast is going to be another episode of Phew. That's right, it's another episode of This Week in Wrestling. So it's a TWIW, I guess. TWIW? Something like that. But yeah, we're going to be looking over everything that has happened in this week of wrestling so far. We are recording on a Thursday with the podcast going out on a Friday. So if we have missed anything when you are listening to this, we can only apologise. Let's start off at the beginning of the week with Raw. And what an episode of Raw it was. And you can't deny that this was actually a really good Raw for the women's division. And the reason why I say this is there was quite a few segments for the women this week. So we start off with Kurt Angle at the start of the night saying about the first women's elimination chamber match, which will be Alexa Bliss defending her title against Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Sasha Banks, Mickie James and Bayley. So that will be who is in your elimination chamber women's match coming straight up. It started off, as said, Kurt Angle announced that, with Alexa Bliss coming out and basically making a very good point of how she has to defend her title at the elimination chamber, but Brock Lesnar doesn't have to. Brock Lesnar doesn't have to show up until WrestleMania now, which is kind of a bit... I mean, I agree with Alexa in that he should be on TV a bit more, especially at a big pay-per-view like this, because I'm pretty sure the old rule was that if you couldn't defend your title within 30 days or by the next pay-per-view or something like that, you had to vacate the title, which I'm not sure they obviously do now. And it makes me laugh because Kurt asked the audience and he was like, let's ask the audience if Alexa Bliss should defend her title. They all said yes, but then why doesn't he then go, should Brock Lesnar defend his? And then the crowd will probably give the same pop. But there's an added twist with this as well, because also on the card for Elimination Chamber, Asuka and Nia will be having a match where if Nia wins, she will be in the triple threat at WrestleMania for the women's title on Raw. So it'll be Asuka, Nia if she wins, and whoever wins the women's elimination chamber. And I'm not being funny, but this, to me, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, is the perfect time for Asuka to lose her streak. Because, right, Nia comes in, wins, defeats Asuka's streak. Whoever wins the elimination chamber doesn't matter. But this is where you then put pressure on WrestleMania, because this could be the moment where Asuka could win her first main roster title. She's already lost the streak, and it just adds more and more pressure, because does this mean that she is indestructible? But no, of course she's going to win the title at WrestleMania. So for me, this is when I think this is when Asuka should lose her streak. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Probably think I'm wrong, but there we go. Also as well, on the night we had Asuka was in a match and so was Nia, both of them getting wins. Asuka defeated Bayley. What a great match this was. Asuka seems to be picking up with her matches. She had a great match against Sasha Banks last week. Bayley did a really good match. Bayley had a really good backstage segment with Sasha Banks about defeating Asuka. And Nia defeated a local competitor, picking her up above her head and dropping her to the floor before hitting the leg onto her like a good old Hulk Hogan and picking up the win. So really good for the women's division this week, ending with Mickie James defeating Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville sold a broken nose. Mickie James then won by roll-up after a lot of attack from Sonya. Absolution attacked Mickie James. And Alexa Bliss, the person who brought Mickie James back, came out to defend Mickie James and bring her out of the ring. Now, it's left everyone in confusion. But could this be an angle of Alexa Bliss turning face? Or could it just mean that Alexa Bliss is trying to get people on her side before the chamber, saying, right, Mickie, me and you, we need to be the final ones, but we've got to get rid of everyone else. But what also makes me interested with the women's elimination chamber match is, so the men's, which I'm just going to talk about in a moment, they obviously had a match. Well, 3 of them did, which doesn't really make sense, to see who would come out last. Now, why don't the women's have that? They might do it next week on Raw, then you never know. But it would be good if they had that. If the men's are going to do it, why shouldn't the women's? So in all fairness, I don't think either of them should have done it. I don't think the men should, because I feel like not knowing where people are going to come out, what order, is all part of it. It's like if you had a Royal Rumble and they said, right, this is how it's going to be. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 78, this is 79, this is 80. Then you'd get really bored because you'd be like, oh, well, who's next? Okay, it's this person. Okay, cool. Awesome. And it's like, I don't like knowing where people are going to come out. I don't even like who's going to come out last, but we already know in the men's. So, The Miz defeated Apollo Crews to earn his place into the Elimination Chamber match. Now, it started off with a really big Miz promo. Again, he's fantastic. He says that he wants to go on to WrestleMania and be the first ever Universal Intercontinental Champion, which would be awesome. Pardon the pun, because it's The Miz. But at the same time, we know it's not going to happen, which kind of really makes me think, why is he in the Elimination Chamber? Like, there's no point. At least if you put Apollo Crews in there, you think, okay, this might be a bit of an underdog thing, or someone to take a pin. But, I mean, at the same time, I suppose if Braun isn't winning the Elimination Chamber, and The Miz isn't winning it, it sets up an Intercontinental WrestleMania match, maybe? That went really nude at the end. Yep, really great match. Lots of reversals at the end, and it made both contenders look very, very strong. Still loving Titus Worldwide. I think they're fantastic. Apollo Crews has had 2 solid straight weeks of great matches. I think he should be getting at least a mid-card push at some point, or at least should be having something that gets him on TV a bit more. And I think the help of Titus Worldwide could help that, because I think some people find them annoying, some people really enjoy them. I feel like WWE need to somehow work on that so that it brings it to the crowd's attention a bit more. So we had another contender into the Elimination Chamber, and that's Roman Reigns defeating Bray Wyatt. The crowd definitely thought it was a great match. I thought it was a good match. A lot of twists where you thought, really close moment where you thought Sister Abigail onto Roman Reigns was going to secure it, but at the same time, it's Roman Reigns. I mean, the man could kick out of having a boulder dropped on him. It's just how it is in WWE. There's no surprises there. We also had the announcement of Jason Jordan being injured, and it sucks. I think Matt really didn't like Jason Jordan. However, neither did I. I mean, he plays a character. It's what he's meant to be. And he wasn't meant to be liked. He plays his character of, well, I'm going to speak to my dad, which, everybody hated, which was what made him good. But in-ring wrestling was amazing, and we wish Jason Jordan a speedy recovery. However, this also meant that that Roman Reigns stepped in against the Bar, and it led to an okay match. It was alright, but the main focus was on the Bar winning because Jason Jordan came down to the ring to stop the Bar trying to leave and then ended up attacking them. So does this set up... I don't actually know what this really does because Jason Jordan's injured, kind of can't do anything. And then I really don't know where they're going to go with the tag titles at Elimination Chamber. I mean, Seth Rollins isn't in the Elimination Chamber yet. But then again, Finn hasn't got a match yet. The club hasn't got a match yet. And there's quite a few people that haven't got a match yet for it. Hopefully next Raw will determine that. So the main event, as I spoke about, was basically a triple threat between Elias, Cena and Braun to decide who enters last in the chamber. Again, doesn't make sense. I explained that just a minute ago. But it was a really good match from them three. There was twists of all three of them, like chucking each other out, trying to get the pin. See, this is the thing. People really dislike John Cena. But he is willing to take pins to put over new talent. Because think about it, Cena's been doing this for years now. Elias has been on the main roster, what, a year? Braun's been up two and a bit years, maybe. And this, Cena doesn't have to put them over. He could have just said, no, I want a title shot. I want to go in this, that, and the other. I want to be dominant going into Elimination Chamber. But no, he puts them over. And, Braun power slams Cena. Elias chucks Braun out of the ring, got the pin, and then Elias got really mad, power slammed them both. Then when he was celebrating up on the in the corner, he I lost my words there. The crowd were like, one more time, and he's like, should I? Shouldn't I? And he's brilliant. He knows how to work a crowd now. And he power slammed them again. And I think Braun is probably one of the most over guys without the WWE needing to try. I think he's getting himself more over than anything in the company at the moment. Because no matter what he does, it's money. And even if you look at... Okay, fair enough, didn't have a really good Royal Rumble match with Kane and Brock, but at the same time, if you look at what he did compared to obviously Kane, who's been there ages, and even Brock Lesnar, he's a better wrestler, and seeing him chase after people when he run around after Elias around the outside, just absolute money. Make gifts out of that, please. And as that brings us to the end of Raw, this brings us to a new segment on the podcast, and I'm very excited to announce our first contributor to the podcast. And you can be a contributor yourself. Just get involved with us on Twitter. We're going to be posting whenever we're asking about the podcast on Twitter. You guys can get involved as well by sending us audio or even just messaging us through Twitter. So here is our first contributor, and it's someone that I'm very excited to have here on the podcast because his knowledge seems to be going really well. His tweets are amazing, so make sure you go and check him out. But here is Dallas Barnes with his ups and downs of Raw.
Hello there, my name is Dallas Barnes, or at AllWrestling420 on Twitter. I am here with Runnin' Wrestling to give you my Raw up and down. My Raw up would be Elias Sampson winning the triple threat over Braun Strowman and John Cena. Yeah, you heard that right. That happened. With Elias Sampson entering last, I am hoping that he just plays his guitar the whole time in the chamber. My Raw down would be that the Revival just keeps on losing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they pissed someone off backstage or what, but I haven't seen them win a match in almost 3-4 weeks, and they've only been back on TV for about 2 months. You do the math. But that's it for my Raw up and down.
Thank you very much, Dallas. You'll be hearing from him in just a moment. Not only for SmackDown, not only for Mixed Match Challenge, not only for 205 Live, but NXT as well. It's great to have him on. So, as I said, it brings us to SmackDown. Next, SmackDown Live. And of course, it starts off with Shane McMahon in the ring. What episode of SmackDown doesn't do this? And I know it's to promote the main event that they always do, but at the same time, Raw doesn't. Raw brought out Kurt Angle to speak about the women. I'm not being funny. But just let someone else come out for once. Let someone else apart from Shane McMahon come out. But overall, it was a really good segment. He brought out Daniel Bryan. Says they are listening to the crowd as they are chanting Rusev Day. And he's like, duly noted. And then Daniel Bryan has a really good segment just after where he says, as I deserve a pay rise. I hope that's duly noted as the crowd is chanting. It was so good. But when they took it all to the serious moment, it was that Shane said that Daniel Bryan is living his wrestling career through KO and through Sammy. And now I'm waiting. I actually saw it straight away as soon as I went on Twitter. Was that, oh my God, this is the moment. This is the pivotal moment of Daniel Bryan returning because Shane's dissing him and saying this and that and the other. So he's going to return at WrestleMania, and he could. But until any news comes out about it, I wouldn't believe it. I feel like WWE could. The thing is, you got to look at this in two angles. If WWE know that he's going to be cleared for WrestleMania, it's not going to get out and get leaked. So therefore, this is what they're plotting towards, and this is what makes it so good. However, if they're not going to allow him to wrestle, then they know that people on the internet are like, Daniel Bryan could be making a return here. He could be doing this. He could have returned at the Royal Rumble. So WWE are just literally going, you know what? To all these people, let's have a bit of a cock tease. Let's have Shane McMahon speak about it so you guys blast everywhere on social media. So then AJ comes out and says that he is going to WrestleMania and will walk out champion. This is Shane and Daniel basically saying, everything you guys do about Sammy and KO is affecting me. Which, cool. Really good segment. Obviously, that now leads to the main event that I will speak about in just a minute, which was obviously KO and Sami Zayn for number one contenders for AJ's title. New Day were backstage answering Twitter questions, which led to a really funny moment where they said about does Corey Grave have a better upper hook or a better left swing or something, left jab? I can't remember what it was, but it was so funny because it's in regards to this, what I believe is fake, but I'm not sure. Corey Graves and Booker T beef that they have. If you want to know more about it, just check it out online. There's a lot to do with it. If I had more time in this podcast, I would probably speak about it. In fact, I might even tweet about it. So go check us out on Twitter at Run In Wrestling. On the women's side, we had Charlotte defeating Liv Morgan, which was really confusing at the start because you're like, well, why would Charlotte, want this match? Even the commentators were like, oh, it's rumoured that Charlotte wanted this, and I feel like they weren't really sure whether Charlotte demanded this or not. I thought this was going to be another one of those moments where they were just going to go, oh yeah, look, here's other people coming out as well, look, there's Becky Lynch and Naomi, which I'm quite glad they didn't do. So no, but Charlotte won, and it was an okay match. I mean, Liv Morgan's not the best of wrestlers on the main roster. She got called up quite early. Charlotte obviously gets the win after Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan. The other people from the Riott Squad, gets sent out of the arena. It was really good because it led to, on the outside you hear Charlotte speaking to the announce team that's one down, two to go. So it seems as though they're going to really push Charlotte. I'd imagine she's going to face Sarah Logan next week, and then possibly something's going to happen with Ruby Riott afterwards, in which could lead to a Fastlane match. Do I think Ruby Riott deserves a title shot already? No, but at the same time, I don't really know what they're going to do. Fastlane seems one of those really small pay-per-views that it feels like a filler pay-per-view in the meanwhile, because I mean, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble's big, Elimination Chamber's big, and then Fastlane and WrestleMania. So it just kind of seems as though it's a bit meh. That's all I'm saying. Tag team action, and you had the Bludgeon Brothers versus some local jobbers. Destroyed them as typical. I believe that they've now called it a crucifix bomb, but I still prefer if they called their moves like the Bludgeon Bomb and stuff like that. But I'm not the one in WWE creative. This was good. I enjoy the Bludgeon Brothers at the moment, but I feel like they're becoming a little stale until they start actually carrying on with this storyline that they've got with the Usos. It's not actually started yet, but obviously after the match, the Bludgeon Brothers stood on the outside, interrupted by the Usos. The Usos walked straight past them, which you know is leading to a feud, which I kind of want them to do sooner rather than later. Possibly a Fastlane match. Don't know. Not announced yet. Could be number one contenders next week. They could try and do that for Fastlane or in the weeks to come because it's still got time for it. But we shall see. The Usos came out and spoke how last week it was the meaning of day one-ish, and now what it's like to be locked down, in which I think the Usos are amazing. They even ripped into their old characters. Excuse me, sorry, as I said, I got a cold. But they ripped into their old characters and expressed how they had changed as well, and it was amazing. Especially when they didn't have the whole graphic of the jail bars on the front. I feel like this week on SmackDown they kind of looked at everything that went on last week with all the graphics, including Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, and went, people aren't really enjoying this. Maybe we should get rid of it. Yeah, I agree. Afterwards, we have Daniel Bryan announcing the top 10 list, in which apparently this is really going to make a difference with how Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan make their decisions in the future. I don't really know how, because from this list, quite a few of the people at the top are champions or thereabouts, but here's the top 10 list. So at number 10, Ty Dillinger. I think they did this just for a pun. 9, Randy Orton. 8, Becky Lynch. 7, SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. 6, The New Day. 5th, WWE United States Champion, Bob Roode. Number 4, Naomi. 3, Shinsuke Nakamura. 2, SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. And number 1, WWE Champion, AJ Styles. But this doesn't make sense, because at the same time, AJ Styles isn't going to get title shot because he's already got it. Neither Charlotte. Shinsuke Nakamura's already at WrestleMania. Okay, possibly Naomi. That would make sense in booking her in smart matches because of it. United States Champion Bobby Roode at number 5. Obviously not going to get anything. The New Day, well, they're not going to go after the tag titles at the moment because they had their Us Truce. Number 7 is SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, which doesn't make sense. The last 2 before Ty Dillinger makes sense, so there's literally 3 out of 10 that kind of makes sense to be in that list. Apparently it's voted by people backstage. I don't believe so. So afterwards we had the USA title match of Rusev versus Bob Roode, and yes, I want his name just to be changed to Bob Roode. Rusev is fantastic. He called, I think it was Jim Uso. I really want him to start doing that more with people's names, just turning the 2 syllables into 1 syllable in their first name, because it seems like it's not only just like a Bulgarian thing, but it seems like a bit more of an insult, like making their names a bit cuter instead of Bobby to Bob. I think he's great. There was so many chants of let's go Rusev, let's go Rude, or something like that. Rusev Day, let's go Bobby. It was all great. The ending was good actually, because it was counter after counter, in which it led a bit of a shady DDT afterwards, because I feel like Rusev just kind of fell into his arm underneath his armpit. But the ending was really good, because as Bobby Roode celebrates and as Aiden English comes into the ring to get Rusev an RKO out of nowhere on Bobby Roode and onto Aiden English, I'm really hoping at Fastlane it isn't just Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode, because I mean, who's heel at that point, but at the same time, if you throw Rusev in there, who is heel? No, Rusev's meant to be their heel, like backstage, but on paper, I think if the WWE Universe voted who would they want most to be champion, I personally think it would be Rusev at the top. But I'm hoping that them three have a match at Fastlane. It could be really good. They all have sort of different styles, and it could be great. So we also then had another tag team match, which was Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. I've got some news on Shelton Benjamin coming up towards the end of the show. It's just some extra bits I want to talk about, but it's a bit of a weird one. But as I said, we'll talk about that later. So we had Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus the Ascension, and I forgot how good the Ascension were. You could see with the moves that they were doing and how fluently they were doing them, how good of a team they were at NXT. They were such a great team at NXT and not really being used now. It all just ended with a double team to Victor, like they normally do. Cool. The match, for me, didn't really do anything. If anything, the backstage segment that Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin did, with the board and the photos on it, was better than the actual match because it actually gave them some personality. Which leads us to our main event, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. It was cute at start because they had each other by the ropes, and it just meant that they kept getting more vicious and vicious with each other, saying like calm down, stuff like that, but they were actually, you could see their friendship falling apart, and in the end, Sami Zayn is on the outside, starts speaking to AJ. AJ ends up attacking Sami and Kevin, which causes a no contest, which I kind of don't. I mean, if AJ attacks Sami first, the bell should have rung there, and then technically that should have been in by the WWE rules. It should have been Sami won due to disqualification, but I mean, for the storyline purposes, it was a draw. Daniel Bryan comes out and says he will be making it a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Overall, a really good Raw, but don't just take my word for it. Here we have Dallas Barnes with another up and another down from SmackDown.
It is time for SmackDown Up and Down. My SmackDown Up for the week is going to be the main event with KO and Sami Zayn. Though these two have been friends the past few months, they were forced to face each other in the number one contendership for Fastlane for AJ Styles' WWE Championship. The match ended in a DQ when AJ Styles attacked both Sami Zayn and KO. Daniel Bryan, sick of it, made the match a triple threat at Fastlane. I'm very interested in this match. Even though it's predictable, it should be a good match. My down would be the women's division this week. The women, even though they were given time, I just couldn't get into the match with Charlotte and Liv Morgan. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I just can't get into the Riot Squad, but there's something there that's just not clicking with me. And that would be it for my SmackDown Up and Down. Be sure to follow me at All Wrestling 420 on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dallas. As I said, he'll be back in just a moment's time. Straight after SmackDown, obviously, we have Mixed Match Challenge. Now, I'm really enjoying the series. I think all the matches are great. I think the backstage segments are great. What I think is letting them down is the fact that they're only broadcasting on Facebook to Americans or to that America area. I mean, people over here in Europe, I would definitely stay up and watch it after SmackDown if I am watching SmackDown live. But I think that is essentially what they're missing. It was really good this week. You had Uso, obviously Naomi, and her husband of the Uso brothers versus Mandy Rose and Goldust. Of course, Mandy Rose obviously replacing the one, the only Alicia Fox. It was really good. It was really funny. Of course, you've got this whole storyline of Goldust being in love with Mandy Rose. And so they had a moment where both teams kissed their partner's hands, and then they went for a hug, and then Usklo went for a kiss, and then you kind of got to the moment where they tease, they gave a bit of a ticker tease to Rose Gold kissing, which is kind of a bit weird at the age difference. I'm pretty sure there's like at least 20 years difference between them. So I mean I'm not one to judge. But I mean, if she likes a sugar daddy, that's fine. And then obviously Jimmy Uso seems to get a really sly one on Goldust to stop that happening, which was quite a good part. It made it really good. And then in the end, they have the moment where both tag teams are in the ring, obviously against their same gender counterpart, and they were doing the exact same moves, and in the end Usklo got the win, which leads us to next week when you have Rusev and Lana versus Bayley and Elias. And if you haven't, go check out Lana's Instagram or WWE's Instagram for the Lana and Rusev promos they are doing. They are absolutely brilliant. They are hilarious together. I think when you actually put these couples together and they know each other, they are brilliant and they work so well. Bayley and Elias, their segment is just still Elias plays, Bayley wants to do a bit of music, Elias says no, Bayley says can I have a hug, Elias says no. Sure, bit boring, whatever. I can't, this is the thing, if they want to please fans with this, Rusev and Lana will win. However, Elias and Bayley are very much at two different spectrums of how much of a push they're getting. Elias is very much getting a push, whereas Bayley is not. And with this, let's take it back over to Dallas for his opinion on this week's Mixed Match Challenge.
It's time for my Mixed Match Challenge Week 4 review, which featured the teams of Jimmy Uso and Naomi versus Goldust and Mandy Rose. I went into this match with not much expectations and went out of it having a blast and recommending it to my friends. This match was nice comedy with some nice in-ring action from the veterans and Mandy Rose. I'd have to say my favorite spot of the match was when Jimmy Uso kissed Naomi, and then Mandy Rose went in to give Goldust a little kiss on the lips, and then Jimmy Uso would try to roll up Goldust from behind. Daniel Bryan would totally no-sell the pin and chant no. Seemed he wanted it just as bad as we did. This match was a lot of fun, guys. You should really go out of your way to check it out. Seems like all the wrestlers in this challenge are having a lot of fun. Because they're having fun, I'm having fun.
And as we move over to 205 Live, allow me to hand over to Dallas for his 205 Live recap.
It's time. It's 205 review time with Dallas Bombs. And I'm here to break down everything that happened this week in the Cruiserweight division and on its flagship show, 205 Live. If you guys aren't already aware, there is a new general manager in town going by the name of Drake Maverick, or formerly known as Rockstar Spud in Impact Wrestling for those who may know him. He is a fantastic personality to have on this show as a general manager. I've seen him in Impact Wrestling plenty of times, and anybody who's been in the ring with him on the mic has left better, and their character has left better. So I am in no doubt that this will be a great pairing for the show. Going on, I hope that he wrestles, but if he doesn't, I'm perfectly fine with that. Next, let's talk about the two matches that happened. The first one being Lince Dorado versus Kalisto. Although they are both friends, they gave it their all in this match. This match was what the Cruiserweight division should be. It was high-flying, risky, and it was stuff we haven't seen from Kalisto in quite some bit. I felt like he didn't have to slow down for anyone, even though there was a botch at the very end when he went to do a reverse Frankensteiner. it could have been worse. And for someone who hasn't been able to wrestle someone or people his size and his speed in a while, it was nice to see Kalisto get out of that rot he was in and show some great in-ring action this episode. And Lindsay Dorado, don't he was great too. I don't want to just make this all about Kalisto. Lindsay Dorado was awesome in this match too. He held up his fair end with a lethal ejection late in the match, which I thought was it, honestly. Next, let's talk about Hito Itami versus Roderick Strong. And holy crap, guys, this was a match. Go out of your way to watch this match. If you guys think you're missing something, you're missing some in-ring quality in your life, and NXT just isn't doing it for you, just that one show, please, please, please give 205 Live a chance this next few weeks, because they are blowing it out of the park with their matches. Roderick Strong versus Hito Itami was a nice, hard-hitting, independent-style match with a main roster twist, and can't get better than that. Can't get better than that. And it was a great match with a great surprise at the end of Roderick Strong winning and advancing, which I did not see coming at all. I thought Hito Itami was going to win this thing. I thought he was going to win the tournament, honestly. If it wasn't him or Cedric Alexander. Hito Itami is now out. I don't know who will face Cedric Alexander in the finals, which he is my guess to win this whole thing. Next week they have announced Akira Tozawa versus Mark Andrews from the UK division. And I think this match has the chance to be one of the top 3 matches in this first round tournament. And if given enough time, I think these two can have a fantastic match. Maybe something on par with a takeover match, maybe not. But my pick for this match is going to be Akira Tozawa. They have also announced Tony Nese and Drew Gulak will face each other, with in an interesting turn, which I didn't expect them to face each other, honestly. This came about after Drake Maverick tried to motivate both these stars by saying Drew Gulak was the best grappler. He was the most gritty grappler, but now he's all about the PowerPoints, which I love. I love the PowerPoints, but hey, if the GM doesn't like them, the GM doesn't like them. I guess the GM doesn't like Tony Nese's abs either, because he called him out on that. He also called him out on how he's one of the most athletically gifted superstars on this roster, and all he cares about is counting 1, 2, 3, 4 his abs. We all know he has his abs, but can you win a match by just the abs? I don't think so, and neither does Drake Maverick. Well, that's all for my debut 205 Live review. If you guys liked it, please let us know, and maybe I'll be back for more.
Thank you very much once again, Dallas. Next up is NXT, and what a good NXT it was. It was the first recording that they had put out ever since NXT TakeOver, because I think last week's NXT was basically all the pre-show matches from TakeOver, so this was really good. Heavy Machinery come out and got a win. They are really charismatic, like most of the NXT tag teams, and I think they are going to go very far. Up next we had Bianca Belair with her very long hair coming out and getting another jobber. She is really good. She has something about her that you can see her, maybe not this year, but possibly towards the end of the year, having something really big in NXT, because she's small but mighty is what I would describe her as, and I would love to see her. I want to see more of her personality. You see it a lot in the ring, which is great, which is exactly what I am looking for personally, but I want to see more of her promos. I want to see her on the mic, but as I said, this is probably going to be a slow build with her, but we shall see what happens after WrestleMania weekend with the NXT TakeOver after that. Then, of course, we had the Johnny Gargano segment in which Andreas Almas comes out with his business associate. Johnny Gargano's wife ends up coming out, where he gets the crowd are so over for him, it hurts. It actually physically makes me love him even more, Johnny Gargano. And I even said on the last podcast, I couldn't really get behind him that much, but this promo absolutely nailed it for me, and you can see why the fans love him. He's got this very much Daniel Bryan effect to him, so to say, in which he then says a really big segment of, okay, I'll go away and I'll leave NXT, but give me one more title shot, and if I lose, I leave. It was class because it's all on the line. It's a very much a all or nothing type of match. I could see his former tag team partner coming back for it, and possibly ruining it for him. Maybe, we'll see. But it's going to be amazing. Nevertheless, they put on a 5-star match, obviously, just a few weeks ago, or just a week and a bit ago, at the Royal Rumble. And I think this match could be a really good one again. Speaking of really good matches, Shayna Baszler then cuts a promo backstage where she says, Ember Moon doesn't want to fight me, no one wants to fight me, I'm the fastest rising NXT star, where do I, who wants me next? And it was great because she didn't need to be interrupted. It doesn't lead to anything as of yet, but it does also pick the question of what's going to happen to Shayna Baszler. I personally want her to feud with someone for a little bit, maybe do a bit of back and forth before she gets another title shot, but we shall see. And in the final, of course it had to be, it was Sanity against Undisputed Era. However, at the start of the night, it changed because it was meant to be a tag match, but after this all got interrupted, it ended up becoming the main event. To a 6-man tornado tag match, in which it was really good, really epic match. Couldn't take my eyes off of it. There were so many spots in it. Killian Dane is money, and I say this very heavily. He is money. He is so good. The fans are so over with him, and Sanity defeated Undisputed Era, which leaves me the question of, does that mean that they now don't get tag title shots? Because they did just beat them, even though they were meant to get the title shot, but we shall see, I guess. It would be great if they did, and then in the future, it'll be cool to see where they go with it, whether Sanity will win it back, whether they'll be 2-time NXT tag team champions, or whether they're just going to leave it at the one and Undisputed Era win. I don't really know. But another question for you guys is, and I haven't read any spoilers for NXT, and I've tried not to. You might end up spoiling it for me in the comments, but well done for you if you want to do that. Is Authors of Pain. Didn't get to see them this week. Where are they? Does this mean that they could be coming up to the main roster? Obviously, we didn't see anything from them in this taping, but we could see them in the future. If not, could they just be having a break from the tapings? Could they be coming back? Could this just mean that they're going up to main roster? Let me know what you guys think, or if there are any spoilers, let me know in the comment section down below. And for the last time for this podcast, I'm handing over to Dallas.
Time for the NXT Wrestler of the Week. My NXT Wrestler of the Week, I'm going to have to go with Killian Dane. Can we just say that Killian Dane is one hell of a big man? That dude deserves a push and a half when Sandy's done and over with. The way he moves for his size is just not normal. And if WWE was smart, when they call up Sandy, they would make him the person that they give the single title to, and see if he could really run with that ball. Because the crowd is really behind him. And I think they would be stupid to not build up another big man for maybe a potential Strowman and Killian Dane standoff, Killian Dane, Brock Lesnar. So many possibilities here.
Thank you very much, Dallas. Thank you for contributing to the podcast. If you want to be a contributor as well, just let us know either in the comment section or on Twitter, and you can be a part of this podcast. And let us know what you thought of Dallas's reviews so far, his ups, his downs, his 205 Live segment, as well as his other opinions on Mixed Match Challenge and NXT. So some extras now, because we've still got time at the end of this podcast. It seems as though there's quite a lot going on backstage. There's been a lot of XFL videos that they've released. Obviously, this isn't part of WWE. They've made it very clear that it's going to be very, very separate from the WWE. However, the videos that they've put out at the moment are hilarious, making fun of the NFL on how they are going to change things. Like, one's about refs' decisions, on how they make time shorter. If you haven't seen them, go check them out on the XFL's Instagram. Coming from the XFL, we speak about how this is Vince McMahon's thing. He's very much separated it from WWE main roster, as we've said, but Dave Meltzer has reported that Vince is going to be concentrating more on the XFL and will be handing Triple H the WWE to focus on himself. And we've already seen this, because 205 Live at the moment has been completely taken over by Triple H, as it's reported as well. So this could be really interesting news. Hopefully this 205 Live bit, which seems to be doing really well at the moment, as Dallas was talking about just a minute ago, Triple H is doing really well with it, and I'm hoping this is something of things to come for the future of WWE main roster. We have some other news as well, which I spoke about earlier, roughly. Shelton Benjamin, I said earlier, this was on his Twitter, you can go check it out as well. He bought a car and actually found a loaded gun in it, and it's quite despicable, because, I mean, nothing to the car dealership, they probably didn't do it intentionally, they probably just didn't check the car properly, I don't know. But for such a high profile African American, if he was found to have a gun in his car, then wow, the upset it would have caused, because police brutality against African Americans is already at a high in America. Him working for the WWE as well, and after, we've had Rich Swann released due to being in trouble with the police, Enzo Amore being in trouble because of the police, just within the last 6 months, I think it is now. This could have been a massive upset, but Shelton Benjamin went straight away onto Twitter saying this was really bad. I feel like it was good from him to do this, because the car dealership shouldn't have done this, so they should be called out for it, and at the same time it covers his own back. If he had got caught with it, he could have said it's not his, which, it then becomes a thing of, well, if the police trust him, if the court trusts him, and it would be this whole long process that he didn't need, and it could have possibly brought him off of TV airtime for quite a while. So we then go over to Corey Graves, who posted some photos of him and Shinsuke onto his Instagram, which I think could mean another one of his videos of Straight to the Source, I think it is, or Straight from the Source. I'm pretty sure it's Straight to the Source. Obviously, he's done one with Enzo Amore and one with Roman Reigns now, and they are great, because they are, I don't know whether they're being themselves or being the characters, but Corey Graves just seems to give such an honest interview with this, and Corey Graves is honestly going to surpass Michael Cole. He was a wrestler, obviously got injured, and then Michael Cole actually introduced him to announcing, and he's taken it by storm. He did every single match during the Royal Rumble. He's on both brands. He does Mixed Match Challenge. Obviously, he used to do NXT, and he is great. Corey Graves is a great announcer, and I think his show Straight to the Source has been great as well. And then moving on to our final little bit of extra, there probably is more out there that I could talk about, but I just wanted to get a few in about this. And this is that the new WWE 24 special is set to be the second one on the women's revolution or evolution now, because I feel like the women are coming up and they are just evolving with it. So I don't know whether this is going to be possibly the Elimination Chamber. They released a 24 on WrestleMania. They've done quite a few on Bill Goldberg and people like that. However, what I want to see now is a 365 on one of the women. I want them to do one of those WWE 365s with one of the women, either Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks. Give them a heavy push because of it, and it will be great. If there's any other news stories you think that I should have been speaking about, let us know in the comments section down below. And also, as well with this, let us know what you thought of this podcast, because this is bringing us to the end. Remember to check us out on all the socials. It's Run In Wrestling everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course where you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you very much to our contributor Dallas for getting involved. If you want to be part of it as well, let us know on our social media in the comments. Make sure you're leaving a like. I'm actually milli rocking as I'm doing this. Probably not that well because I'm really white and can't dance. Leave us a subscribe. Make sure you're checking us out everywhere. And we're still not good at goodbyes. So just imagine me milli rocking. Goodbye.